TitleMatchNetwork.com.
You know, I talked to Miss Elizabeth and Woman, and I mean, I really.
Well, it actually leads to my next question would be, what are your memories of Chris Benoit and Nancy?
Oh, we had so much fun. I remember one time we were making this commercial in Birmingham, Alabama. It was a commercial. We were in a western town. Do you remember we were riding horses and?
I don't remember.
Oh yeah, and I remember I learned how to ride English style, just so I could learn because I was Queen Debra, so I didn't look snotty.
Right.
And I actually would take classes on how to ride a horse English style with the little English get up. But no, I remember that and just how fun that was. That 2 days filming there for that commercial. I think we were in for a pay-per-view or something.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I can't remember.
Was it a vignette or was it a commercial for a pay-per-view?
No, it was all of us. You know how it runs in.
Everything just goes together.
Yeah.
As far as what happened later down the line with Chris and Nancy, I mean, what are your thoughts on that whole tragedy?
No, I mean, it broke my heart. I mean, because I cared about these people, and it really was so sad. But with me, and when I did the thing on Fox, I had to come to terms with that, and I know I got probably a lot of heat on that. But people that know me know that I'd never, ever, ever talked about what happened to me. And I felt so guilty. Even to this day, I felt like being married to the top star, that I could have maybe talked to Nancy if she'd known this about me and said, hey, can I know I'm not supposed to talk about this, but can you help me? I feel really guilty that maybe I could have made,
right,
one slight difference in what happened.
Back in the day, did you sense any trouble between the two?
No.
Right.
No. Not at all.
Did something happen with Nancy and a razor blade back in the day?
Oh, yeah. I remember when I first came into the business, and she's like, yeah, Debra, you have to really watch the fans. And I was like, what? She's like, oh, yeah, when I go down to Mexico, she says, I have this razor blade, and I can put it in my mouth. And she goes, I have it in my mouth, and I can flick it around, see it. And she rolled it out on her tongue.
Wow.
She said, that way if someone grabs me, I can cut them.
Oh.
And I was like, ooh, man.
Were you surprised about that?
Well, now I wouldn't be, but then I think I'd just been around the business for a month.
Right.
Coming from the NFL I was like, oh, okay.
It's pretty wild. What are your memories of Arn Anderson?
Fun, nice. I mean, I know I've told this story before about how one time we were in Michigan, and this guy was saying something rude to me, and Arn made the guy go out in the hallway. It was Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Right.
And Steve was out there, McMichael, and Pee Wee. Remember the referee Pee Wee? Yeah. And then this guy had his buddy in. They wouldn't apologize. And all of a sudden, Arn jumps over and hits his buddy. And then Paul decks that guy. Paul is so big.
Paul, right?
Yes.
Right.
And as the guy fell on top of Paul and pulled his pants down to his knees, and Paul didn't have any underwear on.
That's funny.
And I was like standing right there behind him. I didn't know whether to laugh because the poor guy was like gurgling.
Right.
Because he just got hit by this big old giant guy, and all of a sudden he goes, "No, you're falling down," and the guy's, "That's your last vision."
Right. That's crazy.
So we all then broke up, ran down the hallway. It was like then it was
before the cops come. Did the cops ever get called or not? No.
Mm-mm.
Good thing. Out of, I guess, all the people that passed away, whose death hit you the hardest?
I would say Nancy.
Nancy.
And Chris. That whole thing there. That one did me in. That was like, whoa. That one, yeah.
Do you have any theories of what exactly happened, or
Mm-mm.
you don't even know?
No, I just that happened with I was on the Fox News and about 15 shows. And then I figured, something good's got to come out of this. So I trained at the Safe House in Denver.
Right.
And so I would go around and speak to high schools and stuff and try to help young girls.
Right. We'll talk about that coming up, definitely. Do you feel that pro wrestling was a toxic environment for women?
No, I would say it's no worse than anything else you would get into. I think it relies on the person. Okay. I think it depends on you because, life is hard anyway. And I think it depends on you as an individual,
right? How
you handle it.
Now, after you got divorced with Steve, you soon after that left WCW. Was that the reason, or?
It was weird. It was, we were separated then. I think that had something to do with it because Steve was still there. And Eric was so nice, he kept paying me.
I was going to ask you about your contract. Did that expire?
He kept paying me. Wow. He kept paying me, and but I like to perform. Well, I love to perform, and it wasn't really satisfying to me that I was getting a check. I know some people would say, "What? It's a check?"
Right.
No, I wanted to perform, and so I kept bugging WWE. Every 2 weeks, I would call them up for 4 months.
Wow.
You have anything for Debra? I call Vince's office. I would never talk to Vince. I get the secretary and then JR's secretary, and they're like, no, 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 no. And then I would I'd feel so embarrassed sometimes. I'd call up. And then I just finally, one day they called and they said, Debra, don't be shocked. We have something for you, finally.
Who called you back, JR? Or?
No, I think it was Bruce Pritchard.
Bruce Pritchard?
I think that's who it was. And I was like the big joke, like, oh gosh, Debra's calling again.
Right. So at this point in time, you didn't try to get back with WCW. You just wanted to move on and then pretty much put that past you and then go to WWE.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? Steve was at WCW, so I knew the reason why they wrote me.